science, but I'm not here just to make money.
I'm a woman in science, but I'm not a geek.
I'm a woman in science, and I'm an athlete, and I still care about my looks.
I'm a woman in science, and I'm not weak.
I am a woman in science, but I'm not submissive.
And I'm not socially awkward.
I'm a woman in science, but I'm not a nerd or a robot.
I'm a woman in science, and I don't flirt with my male professors or my male lab partners.
I'm a woman science major, and I'm not a hermit.
I'm a woman in science, but I'm funny.
I'm a female science major, but I'm not studying it every minute of the day.
I am in a science major, and I am not looking for a husband.
I'm a woman in science, but I also am in an a cappella group on campus.
And I am a woman in science, but I don't cry when I am criticized.
I'm a woman in science, but I am not an introvert.
I'm a woman in science, but I'm also not just a nerdy shrew.
And I am not afraid to share my opinions.
I'm a woman in science, but I still go out and party.
Well, I'm a woman in science, but I also have a full family life with 2 wonderful children who have looked up to me as a role model in science.
I am a woman in science, and I watch too much sports.
I'm a woman in science, and I like to travel.
And I love to cook.
I'm a woman in science major, and I like alternative music.
I'm a woman in science, but I also have a fine art minor, and I do art on the side as well.
I'm a woman in science, and I also like to rock and roll.
I'm a woman in science major, and I love running cross country.
And I like to sing.
I'm a female science major, and I love to play basketball.
I'm a woman in science, and I like pizza.
I'm a woman in science, and I like to play sports like soccer.
I'm a woman in science, but I love the arts.
I'm a feminist,
and I actually really love programming.
I'm a woman in science, but I'm also a badass comedian who likes to ride horses.
I'm also a WGS minor.
I'm a woman in science, but I'm also a sociology major.
I'm an avid runner, and as I said, I'll admit to actually watching reality TV, but I won't tell you what I watch.
I think the comments by the Nobel Prize winning scientist Tim Hunt are so outdated that he ought to go back 100 years and be a scientist in some other universe.
Concerning the Ted Hunt comment, I really don't know him, but now I don't want to meet him.
The fact that Dr. Hunt thinks that women enter science to fall in love with their lab partners is absurd.
I am just as effective in the lab and in the classroom as my male peers.
I'm not here to be your distraction. I'm here because I love what I do.
Those comments were ridiculous, and as a man that's really high up in the field of science, I thought it was irresponsible of him to make those types of comments towards half of the population, and I'm glad that he lost his job.
Hey dude, are you even really in a lab? Because the women that I see working are some of the hardest working people out there, because we have to combat sexism and what people think of how did we get here? Do they even know what they're doing? So I would say, Tim Hunt, you're not a real scientist.
I'm a male in science, but I trust my female lab partners just as much, if not more, than my male lab partners.
Women deserve just as many opportunities as men do.
I value females in the lab because why the fuck would you not?
There has never been a moment in my life where I doubted the teaching of my professor just based on their gender.
I am a man of science, and I do not feel emasculated by my female superiors.
I'm a man in science, and I respect my female professors.
The way to change the stereotypes is to have more representation of all kinds of individuals in science.
Understanding that we're all equal, both men and women, and that we're all capable of producing the same effects, whether it's in the lab or outside of the lab.
We need more female scientists on TV shows.
Tell women at a young age that it's cool to be interested in science, and that this is something that everyone can love. It doesn't just have to be a boys thing.
Because science doesn't have a gender. girls should be represented in science posters, science commercials, just overall more representation for younger girls to look up to.
Both boys and girls should be introduced in elementary school to science projects and little things to get them interested in the field.
Hopefully 10 years from now, no one will have to do this because it will be as equal as it can be.